So right off the bat, likely gonna see Quil go for the wheel mix. Laurie not gonna be going for that mix. We'll see if, unfortunately, Quil missing it, getting hammer instead. So that's gonna put Laurie at a bit of a an early lead as she just goes for the typical powerless routes early on. Quil went for the wheel mix, which is a riskier strategy, involves hitting a mix early on to get wheel. Which saves a couple of seconds or maybe a bit more than that early on. Definitely a riskier strategy in a race setting, but still worth it if you are a high-level runner. You know, you're probably going to do in most runs anyways, so, you know. And ultimately, it looks like Quil is only a couple of seconds realistically behind Laurie. It wasn't a big time loss. And there's plenty of opportunities in this game for him to make up that time. 1-2, pretty straightforward stage. Few tricky jumps here and there if you want to get like the most optimal movement. We're going to see Laurie ahead, going for this double star strategy involving absorbing the 2 birds and using it to immediately take out this Poppy Bro. Then going through the cave system, dodging these enemies, jumping over them if possible, and just moving as fast. You see Quil, some really good movement there, jumping over the enemies through those little short hops, kind of difficult to time, but I can save a bit of time. Then jumping over the Poppy with the apple. So, looks like about a 4 to 5 second lead to Laurie right now. Early on in World 1, there's not a whole lot of, you know, advanced strategies or any big time differences. So it's really just, you know, minimizing mistakes and you know, just playing safe. But there's not too much to say about World 1. We're going to see Laurie pulling ahead here, and as she grabs Burning. So we use Burning starting from 1-3. It's a really good movement ability because you can go horizontally quite fast while also being invulnerable while it's active. So we're going to see the use of Burning from now until about early on in 2-2. So, pretty solid from both of them so far. You can also see, you know, the mini game at the end, making sure you don't get slow endings there and optimizing that can save you a bit of time. You're going to be going through quite a few of those throughout the duration of the run. So the strategy for dealing with Mr. Frosty for using Burning, essentially a recoil strategy where you bounce off the wall, allowing you to just hit him multiple times. The timing is a bit tricky. I know Quil got hit once while doing that, giving Laurie a bit more of a lead. Laurie is the underdog in this race. As we are finishing 1-4 shortly, we're going to be going into the Wispy boss fight, another probably one of the easiest boss fights there is. Burning isn't necessarily the fastest way to deal with it, but Burning saves a lot of time by keeping it for 2-1. So yeah, a couple of second leads still to Laurie going into Wispy, both runners now. So for this boss fight, pretty straightforward. You're just going to be banging into the tree a whole bunch of times and then grabbing the Star Rod. Timing it so that you don't... If you attack it too quickly, you'll miss a few hits. So you just want to go at a consistent pace. Looks like about still roughly a 5-second lead, I'd say, to Laurie. See for 2-1, non-difficult stage with Burning. You're able to just time the movement there, get across the stage very quickly. You gotta get used to the movement so that way you don't accidentally run into enemies or coconuts or anything of the sort while going through losing your Burning. Looks like both runners doing pretty well overall though. No issues really going through 2-1 here. Yeah, still slight lead to Laurie. So 2-2, non-overly difficult stage. You want to keep at least an item so you can do another similar double star strategy from 1-2. We're going to grab Wheel. Our first actual appearance of Wheel, not counting the Wheel mix in 1-1. Another good movement ability allowing you to go horizontally really fast. So we'll see from Laurie the double star strategy of just, you know, getting rid of Burning and using that with the fire enemy to get this one-hit KO on the wheel, grab its ability, and keep going. So yeah, it looks like Quil might be just saving like a tiny bit of time on this level compared to Laurie, like maybe a 4 or 5 second lead being chopped down to roughly like 3 seconds. Definitely still very close. We probably won't see any very drastic like time saves or anything from either runner until we get to butter building. Difficulty ramps up a bit. See both runners keeping wheel going into this cave section. You can use it just to save a bit of time in a few sections. You see going over that water right there. Quil actually right behind Laurie now, probably only a second behind as they navigate towards around these fish. If you can not shoot them and just swim by them with the proper movement, it saves a bit of time. You see, it looks like Laurie actually had slightly cleaner movement towards the end. Saving a bit of time through this section, actually. Yeah, Quil. Is he going to use wheel strategy for 2-3? We'll see. Nope, we're going to get rid of it. So this 2-3 Meta Knight arena, all the Meta Knight arenas throughout the game, they have the same spawns and patterns. So it's just about memorization and then finding the best pattern to deal with the enemy as fast as possible. See, Laurie actually really building a decent lead here. Quil having a few issues in that Meta Knight arena and building up quite a big lead going into 2-4. 2-4 is a pretty straightforward, easy stage. You're going to get Spark early on to deal with TikTok pretty quickly. But beyond that, not a whole lot of difficulty. So it looks like a little under 10-second lead for Laurie. Definitely a really clean 2-3 from her. Seems like Quil made some mistakes. Not anything drastic, but allowed, you know, it's kind of like a movement saves minutes, strategy saves seconds. You know, just cleaner movements. Definitely working right now for Laurie. Quil not too far behind, though. Still very early on in this run, and still a lot of difficulty up ahead. So we'll definitely see. You know, going into 2-5, a bit more of a difficult stage. Gonna get rid of Spark early, grab Wheel, and then end with High Jump, which we'll be using for Paint Roller and the beginning of Butter Building. So we'll see Laurie going through 2-5 here. Very clean movement actually there. Going very fast, dodging those cannons, so good stuff. Same from Quil, getting shot, unfortunately, by the cannon there. Not quite quick enough, so losing just the slightest bit of time. Laurie grabbing Wheel. Are going to use it for 2 rooms, and then going to swap out to High Jump, which is another great movement ability, and something that's a bit better at dealing with bosses. So again, still a pretty slight lead. Laurie's had the lead pretty much since the beginning, since Quil missed Wheel Mix. Missing the door there, but going through. So, pretty good stuff to Laurie, keeping her lead. Quil not far behind, though, going into Paint Roller. One of the more difficult boss fights, or more annoying. You need to get up close to Paint Roller to do as much damage as possible. But if you get hit and lose your item, you might lose a cycle, which can lose quite a bit of time. So we'll see Laurie up first with this fight. Also a bit of RNG in depending on which corner Paint Roller goes to first. Laurie getting a perfect fight, though, seems pretty clean, and Quil also having no problems there. You know, I guess to be expected, because both of these are, you know, really great runners, but honestly, very few mistakes so far, like very clean gameplay. Laurie still maintaining her lead, going into 3-1. So Butter Building is where the difficulty of the run really starts to pick up. 3-1 isn't the most overly difficult stage. 3-2 is probably, you know, a fair amount more difficult. You have this TikTok fight here. Just want to get up close, do as much damage as possible, and then going through this, you know, remainder of the level. Some of the patterns of the enemies can vary, but as long as you're careful, it's not too difficult to get through. 3-1 is the most difficult stage. Going into 3-2 now. We'll see them use High Jump throughout the first beginning to get through quickly, and then sub out for Sword, which will be used to deal with Bugsy, which is a pretty annoying boss fight, has animations that can lose a lot of time to get hurt. Laurie barely dodging the beam enemy there, very clean. Going through Quil right on her tail here. So you see Laurie grab Sword. You just want to avoid these spikes here so that you don't accidentally lose it and then have to respawn. Actually, Quil keeping High Jump might be just going for High Jump Bugsy strats, which, yeah, actually, looks like Quil's going to save quite a bit of time here, quickly getting through those penguins and using High Jump over Sword, and won't have to grab High Jump in 3-3. So Quil pretty much tying it up and looks to be in a good position to actually take the lead. thanks to this both finishing 3-2 and pretty much identical time. It looks like Quil is like a few, like less than a second ahead, but Quil already has high jump. Laurie's gonna have to get that, and maybe cost half a second. So it looks like Quil gonna be taking the lead here. The high jump Bugsy strategy definitely did pay off in that situation. So 3-3, as from a casual point of view, is pretty much just like a maze stage. But for speedrunners, play the game a lot, know the best patterns, so it's a pretty easy stage to get through. Gonna be going to 3-4, which is a bit more challenging. 3-4 is another Meta Knight arena. For this Meta Knight arena in particular, you want to be able to get through it while keeping high jump. If you lose it in this arena, there is a backup, there's a copy you can grab it from, but that does cost you maybe a couple of seconds of time. So getting through this Meta Knight arena without using up, or without losing high jump, you see Quil doing very well right now, able to get right up close to the enemies, take them out. Laurie going for not quite as fast a strategy, but still able to keep high jump there. Actually losing it, but able to get it back. But you can sort of see that Quil was able to make up quite a large amount of time and really start to build his lead through both 3-2 and 3-2 through to 3-4 there. 3-5, you can get through it pretty quickly from the first beginning part, using high jump to get up there, and then keep the invincibility, and that with high jump allows you to deal with bonkers pretty quickly. 3-5, fairly easy stage overall. And then we're going to go into 3-6. 3-6 is a bit longer. Once again, you're going to be keeping high jump throughout pretty much the entirety of it, up until the Sun and Moon boss fight. So, Quil entered 3-6 at 11:59 roughly. So we'll see what his lead is compared to Laurie. So roughly like 14-ish seconds, fairly decent lead to Quil. Using high jump there on Laurie's side to deal with the crash enemies, not having to deal with their long explosion animations, which lags at the screen a bit. Also, Laurie, unfortunately, losing high jump there, able to pick it back up, but just more time saved for Quil in this situation. So, Quil finishing up 3-6, Laurie a bit behind, but not by too much, still fairly close with how some of the later stages in this run can go, like say, for example, 7-2. Definitely still opportunity for her to come back. Quil moving on to Sun and Moon fight, getting the 50-50 at the beginning wrong, but beyond that, really able to deal with them very quickly using high jump cancels. For those that don't know, you can cancel the high jump animation partway through, which allows you to attack a lot quicker than having the whole arc of going to the very top of the screen then having to come down. It's used in a lot of situations as like a movement tech to speed up. Laurie actually getting the 50-50 right there, as Quil moving on to 4-1. Not the most difficult stage. There is a tricky mix at the end. I'm not sure if Quil will go for it, but there's a wheel mix that can save about 4-ish, roughly, seconds, discovered somewhat recently. We'll see. Using high jump strats here, there's an alternative to go for UFO, but a bit slower, a bit more consistent, but really good movement on Quil's end. Laurie not too far behind. It looks like we are gonna see Quil go for this wheel mix. Unfortunately, missing it. Being a high-level player, definitely going for some riskier strategies. Not always going to pay off, but his movement throughout World 2 and 3 has honestly been very clean, so Quil still doing fairly well. Laurie no longer have high jump, just going to go through powerless. We'll see. I don't know if she'll be going for the wheel mix. It's not like a very common strategy outside of very, very top runners because it is difficulty. Oh, she's going to go for it. Unfortunately missing it, but getting burning. Is she going to keep burning, or she's going to keep burning? Okay, Quil using Tornado, which is the typical strategy, 3-2 at the very beginning, just to speed things up. So, both runners going for that wheel mix, always cool to see. Unfortunately, neither are able to get it. It's not a big time loss, though. Can save a few seconds, as I mentioned, if you're able to pull it off. There are better wheel mixes later on in the run for the two runners. 1 second, I'll be back shortly. Sorry I had to be there or be gone for a second. Apologize, something came up. So it's like Quil on a 4-4 right now. Laurie finishing up with 4-3. Not grabbing throw, just sticking with spark. So Quil gonna grab burning here. Burning's used at the oh, Quil did get 4-4 wheel mix, so unfortunately I missed that. Thanks for letting me know. 4-5. Oh man, sometimes I get confused in the stages. But Quil did get that wheel mix, and I saw him practicing it beforehand, so that's awesome that he's able to get that. Alright, so Quil going into 4-6. 4-6, not the most difficult stage. There's the TikTok fights. One I've probably like sword for that typically. It's a very slow fight to go powerless, so you definitely want ability for that. Laurie finishing up, unfortunately, a bit slow at the end of this Meta Knight arena. As Quil goes into the TikTok fights. You stick to the left side of the screen, that way TikTok's like running animation is a bit shorter. It's still a fairly close distance between both runners. Quil definitely picking up a lead here, but Laurie not far behind. There are definitely some stages later on where there could be some significant time loss or time gain, with some potential mixes later on as well. 7-2 being a big run killer stage. Laurie going through 4-5 or 4-6 right now as Quil enters the Krakow fight. So for the first half of this fight, you're just going up these clouds using high jump cancels to save quite a bit of time. And then the second part of the fight, actually facing Krakow. Again, high emphasis on using these high jump cancels, which allow you to get a lot more damage off quite a bit quicker. Also obviously you want to avoid getting damage, but Krakow, if you get hit by the electric move, there's a lot of end lag in the animation. So pretty clean fight from Quil there, as Laurie getting close. We're just about to wrap up the 4-6. So we'll see Quil going to fading out at 1942. Keep that in mind so we can see the time difference. 5-1's really basic stage. You go through the shortcut and you grab stones so you can fall down a lot faster, but it's one of the like most straightforward stages in the game, honestly, so not a whole lot to say. You will see, though, Quil keeping close to the left side of the stage to hit fewer enemies and get a little less hit lag, just smallest little optimization. So Laurie on the Krakow fight as Quil going into 5-2. 5-2, not too difficult of a stage. Grab ball partway through, which is super helpful for the bonkers fight, and you can keep it for actually... no, you grab ball again later on in World 5. Yeah, but the first part of the fight, the first part of 5-2, just gonna grab ball and go through the stage. Yeah, it looks like Laurie roughly about 50 seconds behind. Not a huge difference. I mean, the difference in their PBs is 5 minutes. So, you know, halfway into the run to really be keeping it so close is really impressive. So Quil using ball to get up that area quite a bit faster. Definitely a difficult ability to use in a more casual setting, but for speedruns, ball is great for dealing really quick damage to enemies as well as some movement tech. Very clean bonkers fight from Quil. Using ball again to just save a bit of time getting over this hill. Laurie's going to be entering 5-2 as Quil entering 5-3. So for the first little bit here, grab high jump just to speed up going up this tall room, and then you're going to quickly switch over to wheel. Part of 5-3 was really designed by the developers with wheel in mind, so we just want to take advantage of that. They give us one right off the bat. See Quil grabbing that. Laurie also with ball, going through 5-2, gonna have the bonkers fight shortly, jumping over that sword enemy and slashing animation. Good wheel jumps from Quil. Another little small movement optimization, but you could use the wheel right on those blocks or they'll break, but using those little jumps can save a bit of time. To MK, what he's saying, so Laurie had the lead pretty much right from 1-1 as she went powerless, as Quil went for wheel mix and unfortunately didn't pan out for him. And she maintained like anywhere from like a 1 to 10 second lead throughout a lot of worlds 1 and 2. But by world 3, Quil just overall started pulling ahead, especially in 3-2 was the stage that Quil used the high jump strategy against Bugsy as opposed to Sword, and that saved quite a bit of time. Quil going through this midnight arena. Looks like he missed the cycle slightly. He shot a little early on the one enemy. Gonna grab ball again here. So once again, you know, using ball just to get through this area a lot faster. The other strategy would just be to float over. Using this on the Quil strategy, you quickly get up a lot. You go into that corner, you get a lot of speed, and then you should launch up. Then use the ball to go all the way down here, similar to the stone strat from 5-1. So Quil looks like gonna keep ball for 5-5. You can use it for the Fire Lion fight as opposed to just using sword, which saves a bit of time. Laurie going through 5-4 right now, so only about a stage difference from the two of them. With Burning, gonna enter the Meta Knight Arena. As Quil enters the Fire Lion fight, I forget what its actual canon name is. I don't think it's Fire Lion. Getting caught up in that little one block area. Using ball, really quickly taking down Fire Lion, and gonna grab Burning. Use it for the remainder of this level to get through it quite a bit faster. Then we'll grab Wheel for 5-6. Oh, that's a wheel mix. So that's a wheel mix I don't think I've actually seen before. Good stuff to Quil, though. Looks like it was the second or third option in the roulette, but that's going to save a bit of time going into 5-6. Yeah, I'm more of like a mid-level runner myself, so sometimes I'll see some like high-level strategies that are mixes that I'm not as familiar with, which always gets me excited. 5-6 is a really basic stage, another one that's sort of meant with wheel in mind. Just sort of grab it, or in the case of Quil, got it beforehand in the mix. and use it for the rest of the level. Laurie also using the ball strategies, going through 5-5. And what we're going to do at the end of 5-6 and before the boss battle is actually go back into 5-6 and do a hammer mix. This one's quite a bit easier. Oh, actually going for ball. So I have not seen that before. I've seen hammer, but actually Quil doing a harder mix, going for ball. That's probably going to allow him to save quite a bit of time on this fight. Yeah, very, very, very fast from Quil. So the typical easier strategy is to grab hammer. You actually just have to hold down A as is the first option in the roulette. That way you don't have to wait for the missile from the boss, the driller, to grab it. Quil opting to go for a harder mix, like a non-guaranteed one in ball, but getting the quicker boss fights as an advantage. And you sort of see these strategies that like used a lot, like pretty difficult. Only really going to see the top level, but that's sort of what allows a player like Quil, who's number 3 on the leaderboard, to do so well. Laurie unfortunately getting hit there. Gonna grab wheel, not too far behind still, only about a stage difference. Quil getting the wheel mix in 6-1 and using wheel to speed through the remainder of the stage. There is a more typical or common wheel, but if you grab wheel earlier, I don't believe you do the 6-3 wheel mix, or maybe you still do. I think you just keep wheel until then anyways. So going really fast for Quil with that wheel mix paying off. Laurie unfortunately missing the hammer mix there. Yeah, you need to be very quick at the beginning to manage to get both wheels, or else you'll just miss your window and you'll have to exit the stage and come back. So you can see that this strategy using hammer is a bit slower than what Quil did, but is a lot more consistent. And we've already seen this race that how wheel, or the risk reward of a lot of these mixes that aren't guaranteed. Have a bit of lag from Quil's side, unfortunately, so we can't fully see all the details. As Laurie finishing off with World 5, going to be entering Orange Ocean. So Quil 2 stages ahead right now. So yeah, there is a more typical wheel mix that we see in 6-3 usually, but because Quil did that 6-1 wheel mix, not going to have to use it. I think we'll likely see Laurie go for that wheel mix though, and then using wheel to deal with bonkers. Bit of RNG with bonkers with his pattern. Depending on the way he moves, if he sort of keeps himself in the corner, that fight can go a bit slower. Laurie using burning, which is the more common strategy. Actually at 1 health, so maybe she'll reset. Oh, unfortunately taking a death there. Very close to the end of the stage, it could have reset to get health back, but taking a death, probably going to lose her some time there. As Quil wrapping up towards the end of 6-3. So yeah, if you don't do that 6-1 wheel mix, the backup is essentially, well, the typical strategy is to use burning throughout 6-1 until you get tornado in 6-2, which is a bit more simple and straightforward than having to do the mixes and more consistent. And that would be the backup if you go for the mix and don't get it. So Quil sticking with wheel throughout 6-4 as Laurie taking out that crash enemy there on her way down, so you don't have to deal with the crash enemy and lag. Quil going through, you have to be careful in these water spots because there's quite, the corridors and the spikes, and if you lose your ability in the water, almost guaranteed that you're not going to get it back. Laurie grabbing high jump there for a second, actually not going to get a tornado, going for burning. So I'm not sure if burning is faster than tornado. It might be. It actually might be a slightly riskier strategy. Or maybe she's not going for tornado, I'm not fully sure. Meanwhile, Quil going into 6-5, pretty basic stage, honestly. Not a lot goes on here. Wheel's going to save some time. Laurie going into... Oh, Laurie's going to go for the 6-3 wheel mix, so I'm dumb. I even said that earlier, so she's not going to be getting tornado regardless. Oh, unfortunately getting hit there and having to... gonna have to respawn... Okay, there you go. So she had to respawn the burning enemy, but it doesn't matter because she's still able to get the wheel mix. So if you're not doing the 6-1 wheel mix like Quil did, that is the more advanced strats. Save some time. Quil getting through 6-5, very quickly going into 6-6. 6-6 is definitely one of the more difficult levels in the game. You have this UFO room here, which is a really easy sort of not run killer, but it's an easy way to lose a lot of time if you're not familiar with it. Gonna go for a double star strategy, I think here, likely. Yep, so using Wheel and one of those ice cubes to very quickly deal with both Mr. Frosties at once, because double stars don't just, they go through more than one enemy, so you're able to take advantage of that there. Laurie entering 6-4 as Quil going into the last Meta Knight arena of the game. And, you know, debatably the toughest, quite a few of enemies, and it's a very narrow area. So waiting out that one spawn, getting the pattern very well. Good stuff to Quil. Looks like he has that arena kind of unlocked. Laurie keeping Wheel, being careful going through these narrow areas of the Gordos, waiting for that one to bounce back before she goes in. Quil now going into the Meta Knight arena. Meta Knight's a kind of an annoying boss fight. Really, the strategy is pretty much just, you know, slash at it, and depending on patterns, if he blocks or, you know, the hits, kind of just a bit RNG dependent. So Laurie wrapping up with 6-4 as Quil entering 7-1. 7-1 is really the big combo before the storm stage. 7-2 is a big run killer, the mini boss tower. So before you go into that, there's a mix for ball that you're going to use to deal with all the mini bosses. This is an easier mix because similar to the hammer mix in 5-6, you just have to hold down A. You don't have to just get the timing. Really quickly going through there of sword to just break through these blocks, and then in the next room we're going to see the go for ball. Laurie sticking with Wheel, really quickly busting through 6-5. Quil getting the ball mix, no problems there. If you do miss the ball mix, you'll have to KO yourself to, unfortunately getting hit there, but you're not going to waste too much time. Maybe only lose a few seconds there. Bit of a slow ending there with the minigame. Laurie getting UFO, but you can sort of see the difficulty in this UFO room. So many of them just run or come onto the screen so quickly. It'd be easy to take a lot of damage. There is a tomato, and also none of the UFOs respawn. So if you go through a UFO room without the UFO and you lose it, you're gonna have to go through this this boss fight, or this mini boss fight that's slower. But getting the double star strategy there as Quil taking out Fan, 2 mini bosses left. Laurie entering the Meta Knight arena soon. Got Bugsy getting the first hit, and the next 2. Good stuff. And onto the Fire Lion, which is probably the easiest of the 4 mini bosses. And then gonna grab Burning to use for 7-3. Good stuff to Quil, pretty clean 7-2 overall. Definitely making really good time right now. Like, I don't think it's PB potential as far as I know, but it seems like Quil, beyond the first 2 worlds, which weren't even necessarily bad, just, you know, not as good as they could have been, has really been consistent. And Laurie's still not far behind. Actually, I'm wondering if there is PB potential for her, her PB being a 43. Not sure. I have to pull up their streams to see what pace they are on. So Laurie not having the best RNG really in that Meta Knight fight. A lot of blocks. Quil going through. Looks like, do you lose Burning or do you drop it? I'm not sure. I missed that. Trying to watch 2 screens at once. So Laurie very low on health. I'm wondering what her if she's gonna maybe just gets the drink and then do 7-2 with 3 health. I'm not sure what her strategy will be. It's definitely gonna be close. Quil wrapping up 7-3 using Burning for the first half. Is she just gonna go into 7-2 with 1 health? We'll see. Quil grabbing ball, unfortunately getting hit there, but using that to save a bit of time. Oh, she's gonna do a self KO towards the end of 7-1. Makes sense. A bit of a small time loss, but you know, definitely don't want to go on a stage like 7-2 with only 1 health. So you know, bite the bullet now, play it safe. Quil in 7-4, a whole ton of enemies. UFO mix. Haven't seen that mix before, if I'm being honest. I think I actually saw him with UFO before the race, maybe practicing that. The typical strategy, unfortunately, getting hit there, gonna lose it. So gonna use Spark, which is the typical strategy to just get through these rooms a bit faster, deal with the enemies. Laurie going through 7-2, taking a bit of damage on Bonkers. We'll see how these next 3 mini bosses go. Getting 1 hit on Fan, needs one more, getting the second hit. And 3 health still, got Bugsy and Fire Lion. Quil wrapping up 7-4. Clean Bugsy from Laurie, really able to time that very well. Is Quil gonna reset to get back up to full health. Doing Crash, and Laurie able to finish off 7-2, no problem there. So not the best RNG, unfortunately, for Quil right here with the wheel fight. So you use Crash, it brings it down to like 1 shot pretty much, and then you want to spit out a wheel enemy. But sometimes with the RNG of like instead of just shooting at an enemy, it'll just drive around for a bit and waste time. So out of his control. Now doing these wheel jumps, which are a lot more difficult than they look to get through that room very quickly. And on to the last stage in the game. Laurie going through 7-3 right now with Burning. So you get the invincibility, but Burning also allows you to get through this room a bit faster. So 7-6 is sort of off the stage pays homage to the original Kirby's Dream Land with the first 8 rooms, or actually grabbing Tomato there. She play it safe. That way she doesn't have to get rid of Burning and reset for more health. Yeah, so 7-6 pays homage to the original Kirby's Dreamland. And not the most difficult stage, really. There's like 1 or 2 rooms where you need a bit of careful movement with the wheel so you don't lose it. But and you end the stage by going for a ball mix, which saves a bit of time over the backup of having to grab ball in 7-4 for DD. Quil having no problems here with 7-6. Unfortunately, his stream is having quite a bit of a lag, unfortunately, which, I mean, it is what it is. So we're gonna see him go for this mix right here. It's lagging, so I can't fully see how it goes, but it looks like he got it. Yeah, so if you don't, as Laurie with Spark here, finishing up with 7-4, if you miss that ball mix, the alternative or the backup to go into 7-4, grab ball and use it for DD. And yeah, that's pretty much why we grab ball, to make this DD fight go a ton faster. There we go. So, bit of health left, got hit, but Quil just gonna spit out the ball to deal with DD, and he is on to Nightmare. So Nightmare has 2 phases. The first one's kind of like a space shooty section. A lot of Kirby games have this at the end. No real strategy. His attacks from the orb are always the same. So it's just mash as fast as you can, dodge the attacks, typically staying up close to do more damage. As we see Laurie going through with ball, actually, probably going to use ball for the wheel enemy. Yeah, using wall. Okay, well, gonna finish it off there. Cool, 3 health going into the final part of the Nightmare fight. Laurie doing these wheel jumps right here. Oh, unfortunately, taking the death there. So that's like really the risk of these wheel jumps. It saves a lot of time, but if you get clipped by the spark enemies or the burning enemies, you can easily both lose your wheel and typically take a death as well. She's gonna grab burning. There is a backup wheel mix I've seen in the next room. I'm curious to see if she'll go for it. If she'll just use nope, she's just gonna use burning. So Quil on the wizard fight. So the wizard's patterns are always the exact same, and you can get him in 6 hits. So it's really just learning what its patterns are, where you need to aim to get those 6 hits. And then if you miss it, you will lose some cycles, cost some time. It's like a 39. Not sure if a 39 is still going to be possible for Quil. If so, it's going to be barely. Outside of that, a low 40 is still like a really good time. Laurie grabbing burning. So if you don't have a wheel for 7-6, burning's probably the second best ability to still save time. Having a lot of difficulty right now. Seeing Quil stream, it might actually be fully down. I'm assuming he may have finished. Laurie, a bit of low health going through 7-6. Laurie gonna grab the tomato there. Her PB is a 43.15. I don't think PB potential is still there, but I think 43 pace is still definitely possible. So we'll see if she also goes for the ball mix down of 7-6. Looks like she is, and she gets it. Awesome. Oh, unfortunately, getting hit by the cutter enemy there. Gonna lose a bit of time. Unfortunate. Not sure what the current situation is with Quil. It looks like the stream, maybe his stream is fully down. He hasn't put in done on Speed Race Live, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Meanwhile, Laurie finishing up DD, taking a bit of damage there, but still, you know, not the worst fight. Able to take it out fairly well. And Laurie on to Nightmare as well. We'll have to see what happens with Quil. If he ended up finishing offline, staying out on the stream. As Laurie, yeah, so definitely not really PB potential as far as I am aware, but still 43. So Laurie actually down to 1 health. Gonna have to be very careful in the wizard fights, or she'll have, you know, some time loss. Although the patterns are the same for the wizard fights, can still you can still take damage. You know, obviously, if you're not careful. At only 1 health, you know, it's always sort of a tricky situation. So you see for that first hit, strategy is sort of hover in the top left corner. That allows you to get it off with a bit more consistency. Seems like she's doing pretty well right now. 3 for 3 so far. Good. So definitely 43 pace. One hit left. This has been and a 43.38. So only 23 seconds behind her PB. Really good from both these runners. We didn't really get to see Quil's finishing time, whatever it was, but likely a low 40. And so, you know, roughly 30-ish, 40-ish seconds off his PB, or roughly only 20 seconds behind her BB. So really good race from both these runners, honestly. Both played very well. So no interview from Laurie, and it seems like Quil's internet may have gone out for weather-related reasons. So it's possible he's had like a full power out. Looks like he's just going to be given the win regardless, which makes sense. It seems like he was right on the cusp of winning. Pretty much had that in the bag regardless. Honestly, very, very close race. Very entertaining to watch. Both runners really played well from their skill sets, and we got to see a lot of cool tricks, honestly. So I believe with that, pretty much wrapped up with this race. I'm going to be logging off myself, so thanks everybody for watching, and looking forward to more exciting matches now that the bracket stage is getting going for